Welcome to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders. This is a live streaming video podcast by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans, and today we're going to be continuing our episodic review of The Mandalorian with Chapter 22, Guns for Hire.
So, I think it's impossible to frame these episodes at the tail end of the season other than knowing that there's only 2 more episodes left. And so you have to look at this episode in the context of what came before it, and there's only 2 left. So what the fuck is this season supposed to be about?
That's the thing, like,
I don't get
they
it.
set it up as Bo-Katan becoming the Mandalorian again.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see that story arc play out. Episode 6. We finally see it. I don't know why they waited so fucking long.
I don't know either. Hey, Pika fan, how you doing?
Ugh.
All right, so episode details. This is written by Jon Favreau, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. She's back. Released on Disney Plus April 5th, this previous Wednesday. So let's talk about this episode. I mean, we started out in a weird Star Trek feeling place.
Very much. That did absolutely feel like a Star Trek moment.
Yeah.
Even the fucking Star Destroyer, like that was a straight up Star Trek bridge. Like it was.
Everything
weird. Well,
about it.
okay. I was getting sort of Star Trek meets Starship Troopers,
Oh.
but yeah, it was an interesting way to start.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it was Axe Woves, which is arguably the best name for the least interesting character,
Right.
who is leading this mercenary team that took all of the fleet from Bo-Katan and just became regular mercenaries and just decided to go rescue a prince whether he wanted it or not. And I don't mind that. I think that's a fun little story arc. In Star Wars universe, you do have sort of planetary royalty often featured and highlighted in the old West End games and in the EU. Like, you regularly run into that. And so I thought that was fitting really nicely in the old EU flavor. That little, like, tank that the lady was in, the Corrin was in, and they, like, dropped the fish in. I didn't mind that. It was a little weird, but I'm okay with weird. I like weird.
Yeah.
So
not necessary, but it was okay.
Yeah,
I didn't hate it.
if it wasn't for the Star Trek, I'm not a Trekkie at all. If it wasn't for the Star Trek presentation of everything and that whole beginning, I thought it would have been a great beginning to the episode. My only complaint is the aliens don't sound like aliens anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're all just people. Like, what happened to aliens having subtitles because they don't speak fucking common in perfect English?
Well, the thing is, like, it's so Corrins and Mon Cal, they can speak basic. Like, we know this from the film, like the previous films.
It's a trap. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. They're an aquatic species. They have a gurgliness to their throat, and no, they were perfectly crisp and clean. Oh, sorry, my basic is terrible. Like, no, bitch, you speak better English than me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So Pika's saying that this episode annoyed him. You're telling me that Doc Brown and Dewey Finn are in Star Wars?
That's the thing.
Right.
I didn't have a problem with Doc Brown.
I didn't either.
I didn't
actually
have a
really
problem
like
with
the
Lizzo
actor.
either. Lizzo, 2 seconds in, forgot it was Lizzo.
I didn't know who the fuck it was, so it didn't
Yeah,
bother me.
I barely know who she is, but yeah. Jack Black definitely played Jack Black really well.
That's all he ever does.
Mhm.
That's what he's known for, playing himself. He's like one of those actors like Christopher Walken. It doesn't matter what role he's in, he's always Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Jack Black is always Jack Black. And so, like, cameos like that, they don't take me out of it. I know as far as the films go, I like the idea of less than known actors playing all the roles so that you're really just sort of immersed in the story. When it comes to this sort of episodic content, personally, I don't mind cameos. I think it's fine. It's really just these are actors who love Star Wars and they want to be in it, and they're friends with Favreau, and Favreau loves Star Wars and wants his friends in it. So you get that, weird actor reciprocal sort of echo chamber, and I'm okay with that. I don't know. How does it land for you?
I mean, it took me out for a split second the first time I watched it. Second time, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like the second time, the whole time I was trying to find Bryce Dallas Howard because she was in it. Apparently, she was one of the guards.
Really? One of the guards on the planet Plazier 15?
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Or not? Was it? Yeah, Plazier
I don't
15.
remember
Yeah, she was
her at
one
all.
of the royalty guards.
Huh. Well, good for her.
And yeah, it's here.
Well, she blended in. I like her because she's thick, she's redhead, and she's a woman. I don't know what else you
Best
need.
director we got in Star Wars.
It's true.
Like, I mean, that's like the top of the list. Like, everything else is just below it.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you're a great director in Star Wars, I'll fuck you. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter what you look like, but it's just it's the
Look out, Favreau.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
We see your film coming out. If it's good, you're gonna get a tip. Maybe a little more if you're lucky.
I mean, it's not much more.
Who are we kidding? Yeah, so I did like conceptually I didn't really mind this setup, but it was very Clone Wars-y episode and not much Mandalorian episode.
Yeah, definitely.
And it sort of forced me to think, well, what makes a Clone Wars episode versus a Mandalorian episode, and why do we see that distinction? Because it is just episodic Star Wars when you sort of distill it down. If you look at some of the old X-Wing comics, of course they were made after the novels, they're very sort of episodic as well. You know, when you sort of look at it that way, it's sort of like this new adventure, and then, you know, they sort of carry on and they lose characters and they gain characters, and characters go off to be princesses, and, you know, like it has this whole sort of episodic feel. So I don't know, for me it didn't really bother me at all, but is there, like, for you, can you contextualize what does a Clone Wars episode feel like versus what a Mandalorian episode should feel like?
See, to be honest, I've been trying to think of that this whole season, because like that from the get-go, that's kind of what it felt like. I've said from the beginning, it's like they're shooting a fucking cartoon. I don't know. Like, I feel like, and again, I really need to go through and watch the first two seasons to have a firm grasp on it. But like, I just feel like in the original two seasons, they let the stories like draw out. Yeah. Like, they weren't scared to have scenes just play for fucking ever with nothing in it except for dialogue, no action, just like building story.
Yeah. Whereas
with these episodes, or this season rather, it's been very like, here's the scene, quick, let's go to the next scene, quick, this scene. This one was probably the first one that I've watched that I felt was closer to OG Mandalorian, where yes, there was a lot of cutting and jumping to other scenes, but like there was times where it played out, like the dinner, when Grogu got knighted, shit like that. Like, they did kind of let the camera run as well. Yeah. So it definitely felt a bit better.
Yeah, I don't know how to put my finger on what it would be that would make it. And the only thing I can really come down to is the idea that the droids, like, that's the only element that felt like, well, that has to be Clone Wars because it is the droid from the droid army from the Republic, the old Republic, not old Republic, but the Republic. So like, that stuck out, and the fact that it was constantly, the whole bad guy was a separatist, even though that's a bad word. You don't want to say separatist. I thought that was kind of funny. And Doc Brown didn't really feel Doc Brown to me. I mean, the character Christopher Lloyd, but I'm hoping that's the actor.
Yes,
the actor Christopher Lloyd, but it didn't. Like, he's an actor. I feel like he's not quite the Jack Black, Christopher Walken sort of pigeonholed guy, and his role in this wasn't that sort of, oh, Marty, how are you gonna get plutonium, and sort of like crazy and wackiness. I mean, he was a military survivalist, and he still held the ideas of the separatist era, and Count Dooku had the right idea, and he was doing his best to sort of poison the well, as it were. Mm-hmm. And I liked the idea of the using droids. I mean, we always go on this same exact rant whenever there's droids involved, and whether it's a droid gotcha or whether it's just showing basic respect for other droids.
So bad.
I know. Oh my gosh, I know. But as much as we got in this, I actually enjoyed the immersion that we got with the droids, because it was a sort of situation where it's like, this mystery. Are they bad? Is it certain ones that are bad? How do I find the ones that are bad? And Din's just like literally just kicking the shit out of every droid to see which one reacts.
I mean, if it works, it works, right?
And it worked for his character, what I thought was so great about it.
Yeah.
He hates droids. He doesn't give a damn about droids. So he's like, yeah, fuck these things. Smack, smack. And the other droid's like, you probably shouldn't do that. And that's not very nice. He's like, what, this? Crack.
Yeah.
I thought it was great, because ultimately in this galaxy, droids are the slave class. Like, they are just here created to serve, and that's it. They don't have feelings, though they even do. Everyone pretends like they don't have feelings unless you're like Princess Leia. And like, they're just supposed to do their damn job. And then they brought in the element that was the nano droids, that was the reason. And I kind of lost interest at that point. I was like, no, I kind of just wanted the droids to react because they're being mistreated.
Yeah, I was hoping for that myself, because it's like, that just makes sense, especially when you get the scene where the bartender droid is finally like, whatever, I'm going to fucking help you guys because we want to still be around. We're fucking useful. Mm-hmm. And like, that right there sets it up. So yeah, it makes perfect fucking sense. These droids, they weren't asked to be built. They weren't asked to be programmed the way they were. They developed sentience because it was built into them, and now they're just left to their own devices, but still slaves. It's just, yeah, I'd be fucking pissed too.
And the story is there. The setup is there. It all makes logical sense. You don't need any extra reason. Mm-hmm. The fact that they threw in that extra reason is the one thing that bothered me. Like, I don't know. Like, I enjoyed the close words. So.
It was unnecessary.
Yeah. You yelled, no, 1.21 gigawatts. Marty. Yeah. The tone changed so much since the beginning of the show. Remember chapter 1 when Din used a circular closing door to kill a guy. Now they stun the villain and would never do that. That's a really good point. We opened with like mid-torso decapitation.
So this is different, though. He's a different person at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, I will buy into that. I don't like it. I still feel like he should kill people because that's fucking hilarious. But they're essentially they're emissaries from a different planet. Well, potentially. Like
they are trying to be above board, though. I mean, that's
So it's like it made sense why they wouldn't have just blasted the dude. Mm-hmm. So it, other instances, he probably should kill people. Like the whole pirate thing, letting that one dude go away. Nah.
Yeah, he would have hung
that down. In season 1, he would have blasted him in the back of the head.
Yeah. And I mean, ultimately, we have to sort of understand why Din does what he does. I mean, at the beginning, he was just a bounty hunter. He was just getting a paycheck, dead or alive. You come in warm, you come in cold. That's all that mattered to him. Mm-hmm. And if you get in the way, you're getting in the way of his livelihood, and you're going to have to be put down. And so that makes sense. Now he actually has learned to love and put someone else's care in front of his own in the form of Grogu. He is now forced with this idea of finding a national sense of identity with the Mandalorians and wanting to find a place where they can all exist above ground and not hide and not be relegated just in much the same way droids are always relegated to service and slave labor. He doesn't want to be relegated to mercenary work and being a bounty hunter. Like, this is a rich warrior culture that deserves respect, whether the Empire wanted to give it to him or not. I like that he's finally standing up and trying to have that sense of connection with where he comes from.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the nice thing is, too, like, if they get to a point where they develop a physical place and they have a sense of identity again, and they don't have to do that shit, that's like the first time since the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Like, pre-Old Republic. I mean, yeah, they had Mandalore, but that was for such a small amount of time.
And it was also just rife with infighting and civil war. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, there was never a moment where they were just like, hey, it's us. This is us.
Yeah.
It was always sort of it was like our Civil War. So good point, Cam. Hadn't thought of that. Maybe Din has grown. Fatherhood has changed Din. Dude, yeah. I mean, fatherhood changes everyone. If you get a pet that you love, you are changed by that. Like, just the idea of putting something else, their needs in front of your own is is what growth means, literally.
Yeah.
So he's definitely done that. And I like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
I like how other characters are forced to grow because he grew. You know, I mean, oh geez, Carl Weathers, his
How the fuck did I forget?
I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, his character
Grief
Grief Karga, thank you. His character has grown just in proximity, you know, because he was around with Grogu and with Din's reaction to Grogu. It's forced him to change and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone in that sphere, Bo-Katan changed. You know, she got soft and, you know, she got a little more wussy, but she definitely changed. So let's talk about it. So they're going to Plaza 15 in order to get their fleet back and get the Mandalorians back under Bo-Katan's control and hopefully bring them into the heart of the rest of the Mandalorians. They get to Plaza 15 and they're sort of duped into dealing with the problem because of weird royal politics. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, it's part royal politics, part New Republic politics.
Yeah. I mean, the king is a former imperial, like, you know, fucking guy. I mean, he's changing his ways as everyone else is trying to do with the empire, and he's found someone that he loves, and he's trying to, you know, start this whole new life. What I never really understand is you want to have this peaceful existence on this planet, so you pass all these laws in order to protect everyone, and then you have a problem like this, and you don't just say, hey, we're going to amend that law for X period of time until this situation is resolved. Like, I don't understand why they even have to bother with outside agents at all. Just say, look, we're in charge. We're going to change the damn law. You know, if you want to do it through a sort of a republic set up like we have in the U.S., then do that. But don't just sit there on your hands saying, well, the law says, and then I can't save my people. You know, we just have to deal with the droids going crazy. What the fuck is that?
I mean, it still kind of makes sense because really they can't relegate like any sort of like armed forces because of his imperial past and the Republic.
I feel like you could still raise a localized militia of local, you know, men and women to deal with the problem. Like, I just don't understand why it's so black and white.
The biggest problem is then why were they going there?
Right. I mean, you know, why?
I know. I'm just fucking.
They were going for the Mandalorians, but you know why the side trip? And then, you know, we got the side trip to get this nice little dusting of the greater galactic sensibilities. But I don't know. And I would have felt better about it if they would have raised a local militia or a little, you know, secret military unit, and that was compromised. And then they were like, shit, now we have no option but to use you and sort of leverage you. Yeah. Like, that would make me feel, who gives a fuck what I feel like, but that would make me feel better watching it going, okay, at least they tried to resolve the problem themselves rather than just being like hands in the air. Because what happens when the next thing comes? You're just going to wait for someone to happen along? That doesn't make any sense. You have to deal with your own population of people and protect them. And that means you have to get your hands dirty sometimes. Like, freedom is not free. You have to pay for it somehow.
That's a fuck 05. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. I don't know. So it didn't bother you at all? You're okay with it?
Okay. If this would have been in season 2, yes, I would have been devastated and been like, this is fucking stupid, threw my controller across the room. At this point, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's unnecessary, but at least something's happening.
How did the flamboyant tone of that royal dinner party and just the king and queen, how did that come off to you? Did you like it?
No, I thought it was dumb as shit.
Oh, really?
It was, I believe it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we see that even in, like, the sequel trilogies and stuff. Like, just the over-the-top shit. But, yeah, how stupid that was. And then, none of our citizens work. It's all droids. It's like, that's fucking stupid. Then what's commerce? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, we're just artists and we play. I mean, I'm an artist, but I fucking work for my money.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I just go, oh, I do art. Give me a cheeseburger. That's like, it doesn't make sense. That part, above all else, bugged the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And who the hell wants to live like that anyways? That seems miserable.
That's like WALL-E. You know, they're all like sitting in their weird hover chairs, just slurping down Slurpees. Like that does not sound fun to me at all. And that
I
like,
mean, I was thinking more like Idiocracy, but
oh, okay, yeah.
I also haven't seen Wall-E, so I can't speak to that. I know.
I
It's
love
one that
that
I
show.
missed in theaters, and for some reason just haven't sat down to watch it. I think partially because my wife says that I'm going to cry, and I don't want to cry.
You will definitely cry.
That's-
I cried like a baby, but I still love it. I'll still watch it and cry every time. I love it. Anyway, it felt a little bit Hunger Gamey to me, like the culture,
I
like
see
that sort of high society culture that they present in the Hunger Games films. I never read the books, and so like for me, I was just like the first half or the first I don't know third was Star Trek, the second half was or arguably the second 3/4 was all Hunger Games, and then we get the very very final end, and there was like no reason for it. I didn't understand why like they fought and then they still didn't follow her. Like she walked up to Axe Woves and he was like, "I'm not going to follow you. You suck." And she's like, "You're going to follow me cuz I'm going to whip your ass if you don't." And he's like, "Fuck you, bitch." And she's like, "Fuck you, man." And then she fucks him up and he's like, "I'm still not going to follow you." What the fuck was all that for?
We need to follow him because he's got the Darksaber. Well, here's the reason why she should have it, but I've held on to it this whole fucking time. Like that was that was pretty dumb, but
I thought it was the worst.
whatever. It made sense. It finally like put a knot in the end of that fucking line.
Like none of the Darksaber sort of passing on of it has ever really made sense. You know, the Mandalorians put so much weight in this one object, but it's literally just handed off every time. Like the only time it was won was when Darth Maul won it. That was it. Everyone else was just like, here, this is yours. You get a lead. Oh, well, thank you. I'm a leader now. Like, you're already the leader. You don't need this fucking Darksaber that is, like, the whole mechanics of it don't make any logical sense at all to me. Like, if you just believe you're in tune with it, then you can lift it. But otherwise, it's going to be really heavy. What? The fuck does that mean? That doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know. When we were first revealed the Darksaber, I was just like, oh,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Cool.
And then,
yeah, like that last scene where she activates it in front of everybody.
It's just so stupid.
It was so cheesy. It's like, cool, it's already in your hand. We know what the fuck it is. Any Mandalorian since was Mandalore the Uniter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah,
Mandalore the Uniter fucking built that shit because he was a fucking Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, every single person knows what the fuck that is. Like, that is literally ingrained in your culture. You don't need to activate it to prove it is what it is. Come on.
It's only a model. Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's...
Like, I don't believe it until I see it. It's just a symbol anyway. It doesn't fucking mean anything. Like, that's the worst part about all this, is they set it up to be so important, and then they never pay that importance off. They just literally hand it over. Well, you didn't win it, like, at all. No one won. So are you saying that droid had the right to rule Mandalore until Bo-Katan came down? Like, get the fuck out of here. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's how it works.
It's so stupid.
It's just like you can't talk to all of the Mandalorians unless you got a hammer in your hand.
That's true. This is the way.
Yeah.
This is the way. You don't mind filler.
They're all children, is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and that's the worst part about it, is that I've always been told, and I've always seen through the Old Republic comics and video games, how badass Mandalorians were. And we were always told Boba Fett was super badass. And when we finally saw him in live action in Mandalorian Season 2, we were just like, oh my gosh, he's a badass. And then Boba Fett happened, the series, and we're just like, okay, he's not a badass at all. The girl he's with is the badass.
Fennec Shand was dope as hell.
Yeah.
But and it's so disappointing too, because going back to Legends, like, he was a badass. Like, he was such a he was the one that united Mandalore, and then was cursed. Like, his lineage couldn't actually go back to Mandalore because of the special virus or blah blah blah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and like this motherfucker, he would to do a job like he did a prison break, dressed in a shitty version of his armor with a shitty fucking like beat up version of Slave One, because he's like, yeah, if I pretend I'm Boba Fett, nobody's gonna believe I'm Boba Fett. Like that's how much of a badass that guy is. And in this, it's like, yeah.
I just don't think the Mandalorians are living up to their reputation.
No, not at all.
Always getting their asses handed to them, and it's just happenstance that they ever survive any encounter, it seems.
Yeah, 100%.
It's very, very strange. But Bo-Katan is clearly an effective fighter and stuff. I loved seeing, as much as I complain about the fight and the outcome of the fight, I did like seeing her fight Axe Wove. I thought it was fun. Seeing two Mandalorians go, because we're just used to seeing Mandalorians v Jedi or bounties. And so that was pretty cool, seeing them use their own tricks and of the tools of the trade, as it were, against each other. But the outcome was so unsatisfying, so that you're building up this huge result, and it's like if you're building up to an orgasm and then it just leaks out instead of like a shotgun blast. It's just like
it's like, it's when you haven't had enough water, and it's just sort of like it's like whatever.
Yeah, man, it just bummed me out. So anyway, like for me, the entirety of the episode didn't feel right. The whole thing was weird. There were moments that I enjoyed. There were concepts that I thought could have been good, but didn't end up living up to what they were built up to be. And ultimately, there's only 2 episodes left. The next one's the penultimate episode. That has to be like huge. And this is all like right before they reveal literally Thrawn to us with the Ahsoka trailer. So we know what's coming. Like, what the fuck are we doing piddling around right now? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like they had no game plan for season 3. They're just like, well, shit, we got to pump one out before Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like. Like, this entire season has been nothing but filler. Like, yes, they've paid off some of the story arcs, but I mean, you're giving us an entire episode for like one fucking character that doesn't even matter. I mean, and you know, that being said, I did like the episode with the doctor guy. Like, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Was it the Mandalorian? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also disappointing.
Yeah. I think that's the best word to sum up this entire season thus far, is that even though there are little moments that may connect with one particular audience member or not, overall right now it's disappointing. 6 episodes in and we're just like, what we know where it's supposed to go, but I don't see that we're even close to that right now. So what the whole theory is, now that she has the Darksaber, everyone's just like, okay, you're our leader, let's go, and now we're gonna defer to the armorer. Like, what is that dynamic going to be like?
Yeah.
Because they're literally cult members compared to these guys. Like, it's a whole different cultural Mandalorian understanding. I don't know. You can't top Adam's orgasm metaphor. Yeah, you should fold. Don't get me going on orgasms, right? I can tell some bad stories. I've never had one that I've liked. It's all been disappointing since I was a kid on.
Especially the kid ones.
Actually, I thought those were great because nothing came out, or if you do it early enough, nothing comes out. And so you're just like, wagga better. That's weird. That's a weird feeling. Or like my first experience was definitely climbing the slide on my belly and feeling it rubbing through my pants. I'm like, what is this feeling? This is exciting. This is the best slide I've ever been on. Thought about marrying a slide, and what are you going to do? Don't discount those plastic slides, people.
No,
they can really do it for you. All right, what was your favorite moment of this episode?
The droid part, definitely. Just like the whole explanation in the bar after they get ready to fucking take out that 3PO unit. Like, just explaining, like, look, man, humans don't live forever. We do. Like, we just want to be treated well, and everybody's an asshole. It's like, I fucking love that. You never really see anything like that in Star Wars, and it's so refreshing because, like, Fucking C-3PO, R2-D2. They've been around since fucking before the Clone Wars and shit. They've seen everybody they know love and die, or like live and die. So it's like, of course, that's how they're gonna think. And yeah, it was just nice to see that.
Yeah, I really love that too. I don't think we get enough of that, actually. You know, I mean, the fact is our modern culture, it seems to be overcorrecting in that sort of social justice. I wouldn't say warrior because it's really just complaining online. So it's like social justice bitching sort of culture. Like we really double dip into that heavily. And I'm not averse to the concept behind any of it. I think, you know, we should strive to be a more equal union no matter what type of civilization you live in. But Star Wars is the prime place to tell that story. We're in a culture that celebrates that type of a story. Why not do it? Like, give us the droid gotcha that does horrific things who justify it because they've been treated horrifically.
Yeah.
It fits perfectly, and people would eat it up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing, especially with this season. Like, they've touched on like ideas that would work perfectly for just like a one-shot season of like some sort of droid gotcha shit. Like, pretty much this entire season has been, oh, capitalism's bad. It's like, cool. Let's see what the consequence of that behavior is. And what's that fucking consequence of capitalism, slave labor, and just straight up treating people like shit? The droid motherfucking gotcha.
Yeah.
Like, that would be so great.
Oh, man. No, man. So the episode made you really miss Willow. Really? It was Jon Favreau had the creative talent of John. You're just trolling at this point. All right, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to let it get under my collar. No, fuck it, I am. No, I'm just kidding. You'd be down for a movie about droids rebelling against organics and that being the next. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the really great things about Solo. Like, people who complain about Solo, I don't think actually watched it, because when I watched it, I loved it. Like, everything about it.
Fucking Star Wars.
The seedy underbelly was great. Lando and Han Solo interactions were great.
Amazing.
The criminal underworld of the Black Sun Dawn thing, I can't remember what it was called, but that was great. The droid rebellion was great. Like, everything about it was great. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's because Avengers came out that same fucking weekend, and everybody had to like jerk off to that fucking stupid shit.
Yeah. So my favorite moment had to be the exact same. Is just seeing that droid reflection of how society has treated them. I think is beautiful. What was your least favorite?
I mean, I'd have to say Jack Black. Like, and the thing is, it's no fault to him.
Yeah.
Because he's just like you said, Christopher Walken. He's one of those people that there's. I don't want to say there's not range, because there's range, but it's the same character regardless of the film.
Yeah.
So he was fine. I didn't feel like it fit.
Yeah. I agree. I did love his beard, but and I could see that beard in Star Wars for sure. I just didn't see. I couldn't get his character at all. It was just him. And that's really the worst part. Like with Christopher Lloyd, I saw his character and I understood the motivations. Jack Black, I just didn't at all. It made me think of like, he during COVID in the 2020s and 2021, he was doing like a bunch of videos, just random silliness videos. That's what it felt like. It was just like the random silliness in Star Wars.
Yeah, definitely.
Instead of just Star Wars. So I'm not sure he was my least favorite. I want aliens to sound alien. That's really all I want in life. You know, like, if I've got illegal aliens coming to my town, I want them to sound like illegal aliens. I don't want, that sounds so racist. I don't want aliens to sound like a human actor is in cosmetics. Yeah. And that's exactly what we get all the time. And it's rare that that was the worst part of Solo too. Like, if we just had the opening scene and it was like, it probably would have felt even more Star Trek though if it did. But it was just them speaking their own languages and stuff, because the Korrans and the Mon Calamari, they shared a planet and they warred on the planet. They did not like each other culturally, but one was above the ocean and one was below the ocean, and so there was this huge cultural divide. And we saw that love story in X-Wing too, like in those X-Wing comics. I don't know if it was in the novels or not because I haven't read them, but like the comics, we had that wonderful like sort of love exchange between species, and it's a thing. Like you need to like champion that. If you're from the same planet, you're different species. It's a very Romeo and Juliet setup. Like, let them speak their own languages, or maybe he loves her so much he's going to speak to her in her language, Korran. Right. Like, just give us that, because then it ties us into the emotional moment. It makes more sense. I understand they weren't trying to tell that story. They were just telling the story of the Mandalorians becoming mercenaries. But it's the immersion that I look for in Star Wars that sets it apart from every other IP out there. And we're not getting that enough. I think it's doing a huge disservice to the entire series as a whole. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
Hopes for the last 2 episodes. What do you need to see?
Something. Some sort of continuation. Like, let's see an actual story. Like, I want to see these 2 episodes actually blend together.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like we haven't really got that with this season at all. Like, yes, it's a linear narrative, but it's serialized. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's weird because the first season was all about setting up the universe, setting up his character, and then the second season was him connecting with the child, turning into Grogu, and then this third season is about him reconnecting with his culture, and I'm not getting that. And especially with this episode in particular, and even arguably the last episode, it was about Bo-Katan connecting with her culture.
Which, the thing is, I'm fine with that. Like, run with a different character. That's okay. But make it that.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, I want to live with Din Djarin and Grogu. Like, that's what I was presented with, and that's what I want to live with. If you want to do a Bo-Katan spinoff, I'll watch it, because I like the actress. I think... Stackoff is it Stackoff? Zakoff, Katie Zakoff. I think she's great. I've loved her since Battlestar Galactica, and like seeing her as Bo-Katan is beautiful. Like, she's just a wonderful actress. But I don't know, if you're going to use her and you're going to lean on her, then fucking use her and don't let her character be sidelined by Din Djarin giving up the Darksaber to save her ass in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, trying to come up with some weird justification, like, well, 1 + 1 = 75 on this other planet, so here's the Darksaber. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that works.
Yep, leave it.
Math. It's just fucking weird. So, anyway, my hopes are that if we're going to go with her story, then lean into it and just have it be her story. Don't use a man to justify her existence, because that's what it felt like at that very last moment. Yeah. And if you're not going to do that, then stop fucking doing it. It's driving me nuts. I just want to see the goddamn conflict set up for Ahsoka. Like, what the fuck is going on? I just don't get how you can tease Thrawn, you tease Imperial remnants, you tease all this wonderful stuff, and then you never deliver on it through a whole season of 8 episodes. Like,
yeah, it's pretty frustrating.
Fuck you guys, man. All right. Well, that's what I thought. What were your thoughts on the news that came out of Star Wars Celebration Europe? That's a whole episode, man. We're gonna have to talk about that. We're trying to figure out a time to get together to do that, so maybe we'll do that another time. But that is it for. Did I have anything else you wanted to cover with this episode?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in live or in chat and or watching this after the fact. We invite you to subscribe to this channel and click the bell to get notified about our next video. We have a store for all your scruffy looking Nerf Herder needs. The link is also in the description below. And until the Infernal Brotherhood can convene again, may the Force be with you.
You had me at battle droids.